All right, welcome to another one-on-one lessons. So now me and Mr. An we are working on we're working on learning activity 4.1 of geography, which is urban trends and urban issues. So before this video even started, we started with understanding like a bit of history of Canada. So basically, the phase one was like colonization by the European forces, the First Nation. So what's the second phase?
Second phase was early 19th century, so it's like they're beginning to developing the land they used they're
And
on.
just 200 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right. Canada is actually relatively new. It's a bit newer than the USA actually.
then phase three turned off the 20th century. The third phase began in the late 1870s with industrial expansion, promoted by Prime Minister John A. McDonald, national policy and settlement of the West.
Hmm.
So it's like
McDonald, John A. McDonald. It's not the McDonald you're talking about.
yeah, I know.
Basically, it's just the same family name. It's not the guy McDonald because basically McDonald was created by Colonel Sander.
Yeah.
The name is Colonel Sander, not Mr. McDonald. So this is funny. This person is a prime minister of Canada. He used to be a prime minister of Canada. John Arthur, I think. A stand for Arthur, I think. John A. McDonald. It's funny. Phase 3 turned the 20th century. Okay, they lasted until the late 1920s. Canada-wide urban system. So basically, you can see Canada actually developed quite later than America.
Mm.
And to be honest, between the two countries, there has been certain conflicts in terms of political issues. So there has been some conflicts in the past between two neighboring countries, but it has not erupted into war, of course. It wasn't. The two countries are still allies now, but in the past, there has been a lot of, when they live together with each other, sometimes there are problems between the two countries. Neighboring countries,
Yeah.
there's always something. You don't always be good friends with your neighbors.
Mm. Phase 4, Second World War. A fourth era of development began during the Second World War with industrial mobilization for defense
Defense
production.
production. You know that
During
1940 is like World War II. World War
yeah,
II happened like 1939 to 1945, but America actually joined in when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, right?
mm,
That's when 1941 is when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, which belonged to America. That's when America officially joined in the war, to fight.
yeah,
And of course, Canada, I believe that Canada joined in as well because they are allies.
allies.
Uh-huh. So it's the development, industrial mobilization for war, for defense production. Hmm. Can you just read it?
Yeah. Um, for this extended into the 1970s. The new corporate urban era was characterized
Characterized.
characterized
By expanding, he
bikes,
means automobile and trucks.
automobile, and trucks, like splitting streetcar and railway transportation, respectively. Urban economy shifted from a base dominated by manufacturing to one increasing reliantly reliant on
Reliant on
providing
providing services. Of course,
a
because you cannot make factories inside of a city. You have to bring factory outside of a city. So what would you mean? That is that inside a city you can only provide services like healthcare services, education services, moving in and out services, legal services, all the kind of paperwork and things, but not production. Because you have to produce outside of a city because factories are not allowed inside a city because it's gonna pollute everything. So that's what it means. Urban economies shifted from a base dominated by of manufacturing to one increasingly reliant on providing services. That's what it means. Decentralization. You know what decentralization means?
decentralization.
D mean remove.
Yeah,
Central.
it's like centralization. Yeah,
Central. Center.
yes, it's like
So
remove something.
basically, what it means is that it's no longer all the services and factories are no longer concentrated in one place. It just spread everywhere now. So they decentralize it. It's no longer centralized in one place, but now they just spread everywhere, decentralized. So the population is
Yeah,
also decentralized too, and economic activity is also decentralized too. So it's not really concentrated in one place, but it's spread everywhere now. Which is actually a good thing because if you spread it out like that, the population, the density won't be too much, and the pollution, well, and the harm to human health is not going to be too much of an issue. It's an issue, but not too serious.
yeah, not too serious. And population grew rapidly only to a flood of immigrant and a domestic baby boom after the war. Comprehensively planned suburbs were developed by the private sector. Modestly appointed high-rise apartments were built in the core and along transit line. Suburban industrial parks were established. Even higher had downtown office.
Mm-hmm.
Tower became the norm and regional shopping centers supported and encouraged suburban expansion. Phase 5, 1970s and 1980. By the late 1970s, a fifth era in urbanization was in
Identifiable. Population of all urban core areas leveled off or even declined. Fifth phase. Even decline. Suburban areas around the periphery of city expand considerably. So basically, it means like um, cities are getting bigger and bigger, but the center of the city is actually decreasing in number because people are starting to move out of that center. Decentralization.
centralization. Mhm. Population of the old urban core areas level off or even decline. Suburban area around the periphery of city expand considerably. Long established city previously attractive to rural migrants began losing population to ex-urban areas, in contrast to the United States. However, the Canadian shift to suburban was not as much motivated by ethics or r- rational factor. Medium-sized city and their suburb grew as well as larger urban centers. Change to the national policy on
Unemployment
un-
insurances. Insurance helped population centers.
change to the national policy on unemployment insurance, health, population center, and previously declining area of the country to carry on. Nevertheless, the proportion of employment in farming continued to decline.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in 1980s, larger municipal assets adjoining land and most municipality to increase the tax base. For example, Edmonton land area was effectively doubled through the annexation process, which added approximate 100,000 new
You
residents to
know
the
what
city.
annexation is?
Mm,
Annexation means like you actually admitted a region not belonging to your country before. Now they become part of your country. That's annexation.
oh,
So basically, for example, if right now, say before Edmonton wasn't Canadian land, but by that time Edmonton was annexed, so it become now a piece of Canada. So that's called annexation. So after one night, the people of Edmonton became Canadians immediately. You know,
immediately. Well,
mm-hmm.
fast.
100,000 new residents to city population in 1986. Oh, sorry. This example means Edmonton land area was effectively double. It means that before Edmonton basically was smaller, but now it annexed a piece of land into it. So basically, it becomes double in size now. That's what it means, you know.
Which size? Looks bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In
Phase
phase
6,
six
turn of the 21st century,
is where we are right now.
stabilize around 80%. Oh, 80% is
After the
fine. I doubt that basically right now, I think the population of, I mean, in Vietnam, people just want to flood to the city now.
yeah,
Except for the old people, they just want to be where they are used to be, rural areas. Sometimes they come to the city and they're like, okay, this is too much, I can't take.
like all the noise,
Ugh, for the
all the
noise and everything.
it's just like too much, and they just want to like the old people want. Well, I think that it's like
Yeah,
more silent back in the day.
of course.
Like
The more people, the more noise, and the more pollution too.
yeah,
The more impact on the environment too. Can't stop it. People make noise. People cause problems and issues.
that's where we are right now. But back in those days, like very quiet. Like there were like no urban areas yet, just rural. After 1980s, the sixth area began to take shape. The percentage of Canada population living in urban area established as at around 80%. The population as a whole age natural increase slow effectively to zero net worth. High immigration level to Toronto and Vancouver in particular through the city expansion. Increasing the culture and anti-diversity retirement and leisure community began to boom across the country. Anti-diversity retirement and leisure community began to boom across the country. Larger metropolitan communities continued to grow. Population of many smaller urban places declined, except in metropolitan commuters shed an attractive leisure area.
Say again? Attractive leisure areas.
Leisure,
Mm-hmm.
leisure areas. Is it like for a place where for old people to
Leisure
go?
areas like recreational areas like entertainment areas. People go there just to have fun,
Hmm.
or basically just parks for people to just spend their leisure time there. It's leisure area because of that. People spend their free time there.
Hmm.
They enjoy life more in those places.
Yeah. Decentralization Decentralization continued as outer suburbs attract new industry and
And
grow
grow
more
more rapidly in
rapidly.
central areas.
At the same time, however, new downtown are being developed or expand in larger urbanized regions. Examples of this trend include Burnaby, Burnaby,
What?
in
Burnaby, not
what?
Burn Baby. It's
Burnaby,
Burnaby.
Burnaby,
I was like Burn Baby.
Burnaby,
What? It's Burnaby.
Burnaby.
Oh my god.
Sounds weird. In Metro Vancouver, Mississauga Town Centre, and Markham Town Centre in Greater Toronto, and Laval in metropolitan Montreal. These trends all contribute to multi-central urban region becoming the norm. There continue to be very densely populated core dominated by some of the tallest structure in the world. These are inhabited by a large number of financial and other service workers in cities globally connected via the internet and cell phone system.
Mm-hmm. Canada
Canada
City
City
have
have
always had international links, initially focused on Europe. Of course, Canadian people are quite sociable, and they are friendly to other nations, or at least they try to have a good image. Nobody want to look hostile. Basically, some do want to look hostile, including North Korea.
Yeah, they have. How many nuke do they have?
I don't know. Well, but they're still testing, and whenever they
Testing.
test it, every country in the world is like is like
Terrified.
wanting to ban ship from coming to their region, want to you know how can I say punish them.
Like hostile takeover?
No, just punish them like economically, sanction, put the harshest sanction possible whenever they try a nuclear or basically a missile test. Not a nuclear test, of course, because if a nuclear test happens, oh my god, it's gonna be a big, massive, serious international incident. and people is going to form plans to fight North Koreans, and that is big
But it's a
war.
small country, right?
Actually 40 million strong, 40 million people living there. But
Gee,
the North Korean army is like 7 to 8 million already, which is very large. It is actually one of the largest standing. It has one of the largest standing military in the world. Even though it's a small country, but it has one of the biggest military in the world. You know what it means? They focus very much on like war, and soldiers.
soldier. But I heard that North Korea have a lot of poverty.
You say what?
North Korea has like a lot of poverty.
Of course. Once you
So,
focus too much on war, the other aspects of life is gonna get neglected. People are starving to death. Sometimes they have to eat like crabs. Like for example, corn. The pieces left over of corn after you eat it.
oh,
Those things they have to try to cook those things and eat it, so that their stomach won't grow, won't be too starving. And then there's a risk of parasites, the risk of all worms and things like that coming from like unsanitary conditions. It's terrible, really, literally terrible.
yeah. Anyway, can I see how to say that international link initially focused on Europe? Many are now connected not only
Hollywood
with
and rural
their
neighbors
but also with urban counterpart
around the
around the
world.
world.
The Shanghai
For
financial
example,
markets.
Shanghai financial market, Hollywood and Mumbai entertainment complexes, Russian and Kazakh oil businesses, Latin American and Australian mining venture. So it's like Canada's like need something from the other country to like help them grow.
Say again? What do you say?
So like Canada needs something from the other countries to
Of
like
course.
to
Nobody
meet.
has everything.
Yeah.
Hollywood and Mumbai entertainment complexes. Do you know that a lot of Canadians artists actually come to America for better chances of in their career, no?
Oh.
Including Avril Lavigne, you know that? You know her? Justin
No.
Bieber.
Oh, Justin Bieber, I know.
Before him is like Avril Lavigne.
I love you.
You don't know her? She's one of the
No.
most popular artists around your age and my age too. Avril Lavigne.
Really, I don't really pay attention to the internet most of these
Who's
days.
another Canadian? Justin Bieber. Who else?
Shawn Mendes?
Sorry.
Shawn Mendes?
Yeah, Shawn Mendes. Yeah. And who else? I think there's a lot. But a lot of them have to go south to America to have a better chance in their musical career.
Musical
Hollywood,
Hollywood.
Russian and Kazakh oil businesses, Latin American and Australian mining ventures.
Anyway, success and challenges. Canada urbanization has demonstrated both
Successes
success
and
and
ongoing challenges.
chief among to manage expansion and promote sustainable development. For example, to
Accommodate growth.
account, city must invest in infrastructure while at the same time preserving green space and preventing air,
Water and
water,
not
and land
pollution.
pollution. A solution is to concentrate
Mhm.
development near existing neighbor, which increase
Neighborhoods which
density.
increase the density and limit sprawl. You know what sprawl mean, no?
Yeah,
It means sometimes a city they develop in a weird shape. It's called sprawl, urban sprawl. You don't want
urban
that
sprawl.
because you want to
Yeah,
plan the development of the city in a way that causes the shape of the city to look good and it makes sense, not just like spreading everywhere, uncontrollable. Because if the thing is uncontrollable, it's going to be, let's say, urban center, but there's a factory that pollute all the areas around it. You don't want it.
like
You want factory to concentrate in like outside of the city. So the pollution won't affect everyone. So if urban sprawl happens, you might have like people living right next to a factory and they have to inhale that smoke and inhale that pollution in, You don't want it because it was
so.
not well planned. So urban planning is important. You don't want urban sprawl. You don't want sprawl. You need to plan everything carefully in order to develop the city in the right way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
However, land prices rise as a result, making property ownership difficult for many middle to lower income individuals and families. Urbanization also poses a challenge for rural areas and as their population and economic opportunity decreases. This video.
The 2016 census results show that more than 80% of Canadians live in census metropolitan areas and census agglomerations. Together, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver are home to more than 12 million people, more than 1 in 3 Canadians. In 1871, a few years after Confederation, the vast majority of Canadians lived in rural areas. Metropolitan regions, as we know them today, did not exist at that time.
Mhm.
The largest urban center in Canada was not Toronto, as it is today, but Montreal, with about 107,000 inhabitants. Quebec City was ranked second, followed by Toronto, Halifax in Nova Scotia, and St. John, Brunswick. At the time, the largest urban center in the west of the country was Victoria, where slightly more than 3,000 people lived. Ottawa, the new capital of Canada, was home to about 22,000 inhabitants in 1871. Since then, cities across Canada have grown. In 1941, Montreal was the first metropolitan area in the country to reach 1 million inhabitants, but Toronto surpassed Montreal to become the largest by 1976 and has never looked back. The metropolitan areas in Western Canada are growing the fastest. For example, the population of Calgary shot up from barely 4,000 inhabitants in 1901 to 1.4 million in 2016, making it the fourth largest census metropolitan area in the country. Canadians have come a long way since we began migrating from rural areas to the earliest urban centers. As Canada continues to grow, we can rely on the census to tell the story of the communities we call home. Thank you for completing your census questionnaire and for watching this video.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then basically it's just a migrant country, as like before.
Mm,
You don't want to,
my
but of course they have to plan the country, they have to plan the city carefully because you don't want to have urban sprawl like Vietnam. Basically, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City is urban sprawl. I mean, after 1975, the government didn't really control the city development very, very carefully. So urban sprawl happen everywhere. So you can see factories inside of like, surrounded by communities, by people living around them. And of course, if people live around factories, they're gonna develop diseases. respiratory diseases, they will cough, they will have problem with their health soon, of course. You don't want it. And so if there's an accident happen, for example, a chemical spill, the whole area around it is going to be affected. You don't want it. You heard about food dumpsters, right? Food?
Yeah.
Of course. Whenever it rains, the smell just spread everywhere in the city because of that. They did not plan carefully. They did not really manage that dumpster or landfill carefully. And of course, a lot of people they live around that area of that food dumpster or landfill too, and they're the one who have to inhale that dangerous bad smell. It not just smell bad, but it's dangerous too. So okay, challenges for urbanization in Canada. Can you read it?
Challenges for urbanization in Canada. Recall some of the challenges that the city faced from both the video and reading. Government funding for sustainable urban
Initiative.
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 Government accountability or responsibility. Accountability means responsibility
Yeah.
for sustainable urban development policies. Of course, the government has to take responsibility to plan how the city will develop.
Not just like
Exactly. Not just let it grow like it is.
yeah. Okay. And ability of population to adapt to a high density living sustainable initiative. This article. I should read the article thing. Canada has more big city and they're getting bigger. Even with smaller city, urbanization is an issue. Very boom town and the rapid increase in population. Municipalities far from large city are struggling and peripheral municipalities are growing fast. If you're having difficulty assessing the main article, search online for alternative research to help you better understand the population trend in Canada.
Mhm.
To summarize the understanding, urbanized trend, Canada has more big cities and they're getting bigger
Mhm.
than ever before.
Of course, opportunities and
Opportunity.
challenges.
Hmm.
Increased migration opportunities to big cities. But then,
Big
because more and
city.
more people are moving there, the house prices are getting less and less affordable. Pushes
Expensive.
population to the periphery, which means in the center it's really, really expensive to live in the center. So that's why people have to be pushed to the borders of the city, periphery.
Hmm.
Increase opportunities for commerce, means selling, trading, finance, and investment in the arts. Oh, the
The
arts. They're talking about the arts now. Actually, Canadian they invest a lot in art, and I'm sure about it. I'm sure of that. They respect all form of art.
oh,
But then, of course, as people are pushed to the periphery, which means the outside the borders of the cities, they have to rely on cars and driving to transport around, to go around, because it's not convenient. They have to go to the center by cars. And opportunities, next one is increased diversity in bigger city. So more and more people moving into the city, so there are more diversity, different type of people, different
hmm.
races of people. They're like black, white, yellow, aboriginal, anyone. increase diversity in bigger city.
Hmm. Big city attract tourists and put Canada on the
The
world
world on the world
stage.
stage.
Yeah. Tourist is like
Tourists
a,
mean people just go there for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and
so to
then
learn about the city.
yeah, they just go there for to have some fun.
Um,
But then we have built form replaces natural environment and reducing green space. Of course, more the bigger the city, the less green natural green space there are. There will be,
hmm.
and less trees, you know.
Yeah.
And then challenges are urban sprawl, like I told you before, how the city develop in a weird shape. Of course, when the city getting bigger and bigger, it's getting less and less easy, or I can say it getting harder to control how it will look, where the factory will be located, where the people will be living, you know.
Hmm.
Because
Like since
eventually, if the factories you put it outside the urban center, right?
yeah.
Eventually, people will start developing, so they will be nearer and nearer to the factories, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So you need to
So it's
relocate. You need to relocate the factory somehow, or you can force the people to move away from that factory. But eventually, it's hard, you know, because people, the city will start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger still, and it will become a weird shape anyway. It's getting hard to control.
yeah. Since like people are moving to the big city, more and more houses will be made. So that's why the city is expanding, and it's just hard to for the people to like for the government to control them all because it takes times to negotiate something. Those living in prairie rely more and more on cars and driving as a primary mode of transportation. Built form replaces natural environment, reduces green space, urban sprawl increases city
No one
getting
urban
bigger and
sprawl.
bigger. Yep,
Never.
just like you said.
Nobody want urban sprawl really. It's just so ugly.
I take a
Okay,
break for
consolidation already, right? Oh wow. Is
yeah.
that all urban issues is? They didn't talk about pollution. Weird.
Well, I think in the next activity they will.
Maybe I think 4.2 they will talk about that.
Yeah. Uh, land shoes. Okay, can I just take a quick break for a few minutes?
Sure. Take a quick break.
Land use in
Alright.
city.
Okay, what's that? You say something?
I'm just
Ah,
reading the.
learning activity 4.2. Land use in cities. How people use the land. A deeper look at cities. Mm-hmm. Exterior
And
Columbia legislature. Governs the various way the land is used in this urban setting. I need to be productive today though.
oh,
I really have to. Alright, image analysis. A deeper look at cities. I can still see there's a lot of greens. Exterior legislature. Within the surrounding cityscape of Vancouver. Brainstorm the various ways that land is used in this urban setting. Can you see the legislature or something?
um, yeah, I think I can see a bit.
What is that building name? Oh, I
Yeah,
see. It looks like a castle.
Looks
It
like a
looks like there's a
museum.
castle over there, right?
Yeah, like right here.
Yeah, look like a castle over there. And there's some buildings surrounding it. I think university, I think. Not so
University.
sure. But castle like that, maybe it's just a tourist attraction. I'm not so sure. Brainstorm a various way that lands used in an urban setting. So you see there's a lot of greens,
Yeah.
trees and grass, thing like that. But still there's a lot of buildings too. But they try to get to still have some green surrounding it, you know.
In some of the various way that land is used in this urban setting. They built buildings, structure, port on the land. Yeah. Office building, parking lot, green space, waterfront, apartment building, marina, road, extra, DC, land use. Land use refer to the various functions that land serve in the community.
Of
And
course,
land is, yeah.
used differently in city versus rural areas. Like for example, rural areas we use it for building factories, for farming, for solar farms, for wind farm, energy, you know. And so sometimes we use it for making theme park, making like other structures to preserve nature or for production. But in a city, we cannot put factory in a city, so you cannot use land for production in a city. You know, you can't. Basically, in a city, you can only like do services mostly.
Mm-hmm.
In the city, yeah, of course, mostly services or buildings, and of course, you need to build like projects, you know, construction projects for people to live in there. Mostly projects for people to live in. Examine the various waylands used in urban settings. Okay, let's go downstairs. Let's go down.
After urban land use, people live, work, and play in city. To understand how the city of Canada future will need to adapt to our growth population, we will first need to learn about the different land it's used in city. Were any of these categories included in
Included
your
in your
mind at
mind
brainstorm?
on brainstorming.
Transportation, land that is used to move goods and people. Residential,
That's where people live.
commercial, land
Businesses
where
are
goods and
bought and
services.
sold. So commercial use means like they build shopping centers there so people can go there and shop. You know, goods and
Yeah.
services are bought and sold. Open space and recreational, like you know, places for leisure time, like parks, open space, stadium, recreational, clubs, bars, what else? Entertainment, recreational centers, football, courts, tennis courts, things like that. Open space, recreational, you know.
Mm.
Industrial basically means for production, manufacturing, and distribution of goods. Institutional and public buildings are mostly schools, hospitals, schools, and governmental building, institutional, public buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take the quiz.
Okay.
Timeline used can represent.
Type of land used as an elementary school represent.
Elementary school. Of course, it's institutional.
What type of used resident or what type of land does an airport represent?
Airport.
Transportation. Airport. Transportation. Wait. What type of land does a park represent?
A park.
Park. Maybe
Park is for
industrial.
people to enjoy their free time there.
Open and
Open space recreational. Wait. What do you say?
what? A park.
Park represents. Why is it not? Interesting.
Maybe
Recreational? No, it's not industrial for sure. No, maybe I think it's recreational, more like. But why they didn't choose open space? Weird. I think this question is just quite weird.
yeah.
I think recreational, yeah.
What type of land does a public swimming pool represent?
No, it's not.
Hmm.
Institutional means like government buildings and hospital, schools.
And
So
I think it
swimming pool, of course, is open space, isn't it? And recreational, it's also for training health and spend time. I think maybe recreational on open space, or maybe recreational only. Try it. So it must be recreational then.
yeah.
But what do they mean by open space? I don't understand.
Open space, I think, is like lots of space for like a wide area or something.
Maybe, like for example, open space for like open space theater, like outdoor theater or something. Public swimming pool. So a mall, shopping mall, huh? No, not that.
And then it should be industrial.
Shopping mall, no, it's commercial. Commerce means thương mại, means selling and buying things. It's commercial.
Commercial.
Be careful. As I told you before, you really need to practice the grammars and vocabulary series of IELTS. Remember? Did you do that?
Yeah.
You need to practice on that, otherwise the way that you write will not be accepted that much. And your mom will have a reason to complain to me. Of course, she's the one paying, so and have to be able to help you.
Yeah.
Try your best. I mean, my videos and my books already trying to help you, but try your best to improve yourself too. Now, continue please. Baseball diamond. What is baseball diamond?
Baseball diamond.
Baseball diamond. No idea what
Baseball diamond.
Must be recreational, but I'm not so sure about open space too.
Recreational.
It's always safe to be recreational. A toy store.
It's either commercial.
Hmm. Because they sell things, sell goods
So
and services.
there's a transportation. What type of land does a lawyer office represent? Lawyer office represent. Lawyer office. I think it's institutional. Hmm. Commercial. What type of land does a bike path represent? Hmm. It's true. What type of land does a cookie factory represent? What type of land does a vacant land represent?
Vacant land, which means nobody used that land.
Hmm.
It means like you don't have any real use for that land.
Then it should be open space and
Not so sure. Interesting. So they use the word open space as land that is not used for nothing, for anything. Huh? So it's
hmm.
open. And recreational. It should be like unused land category. Detached home. You know what a detached home? So
Detached
basically,
home.
there's different type of home. Like two homes that share the same wall with each other are not detached. But when the home that does not share the wall with any other homes, they are detached homes. Like for example, if two houses next to each other, they are separated by a garden or something, so they don't share the same wall with each other. So they are detached home. So what type of land use is this? It's a home. Detached home.
Residential.
Say again? Residential, of course.
Residence.
People live there, so residential.
Yeah.
Land use and livability. The ability to live there. Some lands they're not basically meant to for people to live there. It's for other purposes. So we have land use and livability.
Hmm.
Some places are just too polluted to live there, so their livability is actually quite low. Okay, land use and livability. Let's read it, can you?
What's the connection between the city land and its use?
Land use and its livability. Some
In
city
other words,
design better than others.
yeah. In other words, are some city designed better than the others? The answer is yes, as concern around climate change have grown, so sustainability movement to build in many cases redesign city so that they are healthier, for people and the planet.
Mhm.
Livability is a complex and sometimes
Controversial
controversial
term.
term. A place may be more livable to you than me based on our family income,
Taste
taste,
and
and value.
values.
You may value sustainability and prefer bike lane and
And walking
walking.
path to highway. But some other people they just need cars and motorbikes, so they prefer highways. You know,
Yeah.
and some other people they prefer cars, so they feel that bike lanes on reduced ability to travel efficiently, so they don't want to live there. Some people they actually prefer to live in apartments compared to in houses. For example, in my generation and your generation too, I'm sure. Later, you
Mm.
will feel that living in an apartment is better. But some older people, they just want to live in houses, with big roads and things like that, with gardens, something like that.
Mm. Livability is a complex, sometimes controversial term. A place may be more livable to you than me based on our family incomes, taste, and value. You may value sustainability and prefer bike lane and walking path to highways. Other, on the other hand, may feel that the cars are central to life in a city that bike lane only really reduce the ability to travel efficiently.
Mhm. So there's a new definition: livability, the ability to live in a place, the degree to which a place is suitable for living, like how suitable the place is for living. So different organization and municipality, which means city, and different organizations, they can form or set criteria for livability. Like for
Mm.
example, the place there must be shopping malls nearby, there must be swimming pool, there must be gyms nearby, there must be bike lanes nearby. So they set a criteria for a place to be called livable. If a place doesn't have it, if there's nothing like those things, then the place is not considered as livable.
Yeah.
Like for example, I mean, it depends on countries, depends on places. They may have different criteria to classify a place as livable or not livable. So different people have different ideas about this. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Okay. I just need to sit down. I'm still too tired to stand up.
Oh,
That's about it. Doing taking care of my new home, which is lots of work.
Melbourne versus Vancouver. City plan put urban center head to
Head
head.
to head.
The current title holder for the most livable city in the world is Melbourne, Australia, but as CBC regular city, communist Brent
Brent Darian.
Valerian
Geologist
tells us
Stephen Prince. Australian are taking notes from Vancouver.
Australia taking notes from Vancouver. We are the city that to study. More than other cities on the planet, and I find it fascinating to look at it, at what it is about our system that they're trying to learn from, because it can teach us about ourselves. So
Totally
we're in,
understand.
you pointed out suburb and Melbourne are lacking, and that's where the city could be the most from the lower mainland regional design. We building urban place, transit supportive, walkable, bikeable place out in the suburb. They got a commuter rail, they got their tram system, but they got no mixed use density out in the suburb.
It's all
It's
car
all
oriented. So basically,
oriented.
is the place having a metro system? Do they have good bus system? Is it livable? You know,
Mm.
it's like people comparing between like places. Of course, the places with more public transport system is going to be a better place to live. I mean, more convenient place to live, so it has a higher livability, I think. But of course, it depends. Some people they don't need it. Some people they just drive with their car, so they need highways. So it's highly vary depending on individuals. But most people agree that you need to live near to, say, school or shopping malls, you know.
Mm.
Now, what is it all called? Active alleyways.
Declaring difference between
Uh,
Vancouver downtown and Melbourne downtown is how the Australian city has utilized its
it's
lane
lane alleys, public places.
and making them into public space. They completely rev through all the barriers in the 90s. Melbourne transformed that terrain
Tran
set.
said, commenting on the potential of Vancouver aesthetically diverse back lanes.
The city did revamp the alley east of Granville Street between Smith and Robinson, and a
Robson.
similar
Robson.
set
Smith and Robson.
uh, project is set to take place in the alley south of Albany Street between Borough and Boot. We tiptoe into these kind of ideas.
I mean, these things are just so detailed. I mean, this is so trivial. Just move on, please.
Yeah,
These things are very trivial. Culture and art in downtown in the city, Melbourne wins. Of course, Melbourne is like much more diverse in terms of art, culture. They are creative, more adventurous, more colorful, more fun. They do the civic city building better. Downtown housing, Vancouver wins. Huh. The idea we put a lot of people. Public or okay, anyway. Consolidation now. Oh, it's already consolidation, livability for me.
just think about your own community, neighborhood, city, or town. What makes it special? What makes it work in it for its residents? What are some areas that can be improved using these questions as your
Question
guide?
that you
You
got, you will develop your own livability criteria.
identify at least 5 factors you think make a place suitable for people to thrive,
Mhm.
e.g., affordability, good financial structure such as road. Okay, my man.
Accessibility to services, etc.
Yeah, and that's it to 4.3. I hope hold on.
Say again. Okay.
Let me send this. Oh wait, I have. So there's like this thing I'm working on. Like, do you have any advice on how I should change my paragraph, like sentence, like any
Environmental
grammar?
issue. Oh, you're working on environmental issue, huh?
Yeah. Yes, like for stuff I am doing. Like, is there
You
any
said okay.
error?
Be careful of the article you're using. They are also growing as well. But then in the next sentence you say it wouldn't be able to grow. What?
Oh,
You're using this. You should use the same article. I mean, you should use the same like personal pronouns so
same
that it won't
pronoun.
produce confusion. You know,
Confusion.
if you say they are also growing as well, but they wouldn't be able to grow as fast as we do. Since we are creating many things to harm it as well. It sounds very spoken language, you know. Try to make it sound less spoken by replacing personal pronouns with some other things.
Yeah,
Like for example, as the earth continues to grow as well as the environment and ecosystem, who are they? They here, what is that? They are also growing as well. What does they here stand for?
Oh.
Okay, that's the end of my videos. Please like, share this video with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and press on the bell button next to the subscribe button so you can get notified about my new uploads, okay? You can also press follow my Facebook, but please don't add me on Facebook as friends, okay? Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi nha. Các bạn hãy nhấn vào like, chia sẻ video này bạn bè các bạn. Nhấn vào nút đăng ký kênh YouTube mình và nút cái chuông kế bên cạnh để đăng ký kênh đó, để mà các bạn sẽ được thông báo về những video mới nha. Các bạn cũng có thể nhấn vào nút theo dõi Facebook mình, nhưng nhớ đừng kết bạn Facebook mình nha. Thank you and see you. Bye.